Hi, and welcome to Not Just Talk Therapy Podcast. We are your hosts.
This is Leslie, a holistic psychotherapist.
And I'm Britany. I'm the girl next door.
Talk therapy is great, but we believe it's not enough. We examine the body, mind, and soul and challenge you to think differently, see things in a holistic way to approach and resolve life's challenges.
Join us for a fun and meaningful conversation and learn tips and insights on how to approach life's complex issues. We are so excited for you to tune in.
Hi, this is episode number 5. Today we're going to discuss being stuck in life and why are we stuck in the first place and what happens to us. I'm going to explain the subconscious cycle in our brains that occurs causing us to feel stuck, and I'll provide some insights to help. And Britany will share her feedback and insights as well. Being stuck and feeling stuck is very common.
Yeah, I definitely think we're all feeling stuck right now in different ways, for sure.
It happens to all of us, and it happens many times over a lifetime. So most people become stuck in life. They can't pinpoint exactly when or how it happened, which may be why it's hard to recognize. Several less than satisfying aspects of your life may have merged, making the whole picture seem a little depressing. And the thing is that even when you do recognize you're stuck, the feeling can be so familiar that it seems more comfortable to language in it than to pull yourself out of it. And I'll dive more into this in a little bit. So this year, 2020, with the COVID-19 pandemic, has forced us to sit inside a lot more. And that's caused us, whether you realize it or not, to go inwardly, to reflect on our lives. And for some of us, we can start feeling trapped and limited. It's like you had a wake-up call, like, wait a second, this is my life? And even if you wanted to pull yourself out of that rut, it's harder to, because our typical coping mechanisms or things we want to do may not be open or available. Mm-hmm. And we feel limited in so many ways that we don't know how to pull ourselves out of the rut. And every day seems the same with this pandemic. It feels like the movie Groundhog Day. Remember that movie?
Oh, yes, I do remember that movie.
That's how a lot of us feel. So, Britany, why do you think we become stuck?
So for me, I think that we become stuck because we do things in our life that don't really align with who we truly are. And as you know, I'm definitely all about your true purpose and living out your true purpose. So I think that, through the trajectory of our life, typically follows suit of what the outside world thinks we should do. So it starts with, parents, and then it goes to school, and then it goes to, just thinking of what, so-and-so might think, or what people think I should do, or, in order to get the fancy car, I need to have this type of job. So I think it's a lot of little daily choices over and over the course of a long period of time that we begin to feel stuck. And as humans, generally speaking, I think that we have a high tolerance for discomfort and suffering, but it is not without limit. So over and over and over, we can kind of tolerate that. And then all of a sudden we hit this point where we're like, whoa, that's when we begin to feel stuck, because it's like, I can't keep on going this pattern. It's not making me happy. And as this recognition becomes more firmly established, it can either be a turning point for where you make changes, or it can just continue on where you are scared to make any changes.
Yeah, you stay stuck, right?
And you stay stuck.
So many of the main reasons we become stuck is that we aren't living our values. And like Britany says, we're not living our true purpose here. And with that, people often, like she mentioned, we often compare ourselves to others. And like the grass is always greener on the other side. And you find yourself daydreaming about a better life. And you become despondent, meaning you're low spirit or lacking courage. And you feel your life is just boring. So you don't feel good about this despondency, and as a result, you become indecisive. Trying to talk yourself into doing things that you know you should be doing, but you can't bring yourself to actually do it. And you're now living in this kind of limbo state, which you end up endlessly toying around with the idea of what should I be doing, and things never end up materializing because you can't muster up the motivation or the energy. And the key word I mentioned there is should, and I'm going to dive into this in a little bit. So Britany, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our paths are really led by, we come out of the womb as a baby, and then we're raised by our parents, and we are guided by either their influence, their suggestion, and then we're funneled into our education system that was founded on the industrialism and basically how our main core subjects are math and languages, and we're kind of funneled into this path of how can you be successful, how can you make money, rather than maybe not what you really want to do. So I was actually just watching a TED Talk with Sir Ken Robinson, which I think is actually like one of the most followed or watched TED Talks out there. But he goes into how he talks about when we're children, we're not really afraid of being wrong. And being wrong doesn't necessarily mean you're creative, but if you're not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with anything original. And so then he goes on to say kids grow up being frightened of being wrong because they're stigmatized for making mistakes. And our educational system is run where mistakes are the worst thing that you can ever do, right? So the result is we're really educating people out of their creative capacities. And he basically said, he was like, every education system has the hierarchy. And he's originally from England, and he came over here, and it was the same thing. It's like all over the world, it's all about math and languages, then humanities, and then arts. So we focus really on who are going to be, the winners, and who is going to have the academic ability to succeed. And so we're not really targeting people to do music because they're not going to be musicians, and we don't target people to do art because they're not going to be an artist. So we're really taking out all of the creative capacity and thinking out of our school systems, which is from kindergarten all the way through high school and then to college. Our whole academic system funnels into the university process, right? And as he was saying, he thinks that the consequences is that there's very highly talented, creative, brilliant people that don't think they are because our system doesn't support that type of mentality. So here you are, I should be a lawyer because lawyers have a good career and they are, highly prestigious, and they think, the society is going to appreciate them, and they'll be able to afford the house and the car and get the wife and whatever, or husband. Whereas maybe his inner child really wanted to be a vet, or maybe his inner child wanted to write a book, but he didn't really go down that route because that's not the way that our society funnels people. And one quote that he said at the TED Talk, which I thought was really good, is he says, "I believe our only hope for the future is to adopt a conception of human ecology, one in which we start to reconstitute our concept of the richness and human capacity. Our education system has mined our minds in the way we strip mine the earth for a particular commodity, and for the future it won't serve us. We have to rethink the fundamentals in which we educate our system, the gift of human imagination. See our creative capacity for the richness they are." So yeah, I just thought that was really a great TED Talk that kind of explained how our system is set up to completely deplete all of us of creative capacity and intelligence. And I think creativity is such a big part of your true purpose, something that ignites you and lights you up.
That's a good point. And what Britany is talking about is a really good segue to I want to explain in regards of our blueprints and our beliefs, which ties into the word should. So what Britany just talked about in that TED Talk, what that guy was discussing, basically our society maps out our blueprints. What I mean by blueprints is, so when I meet with clients, I want to know what they beliefs are. They're your beliefs and your values. And your beliefs and your values are tied to how you think your life should be set up, how you think you should be living. And all of these are tied into the word should. So all these beliefs and ideas come from our childhood, come from our parents, like she mentioned, the education system, our society, and this basically paints and paves the way in our brain, but how we should be living, who we should be, how our life should look, what kind of career we should be doing, how much money we should make, what our kids should be doing. And the key word I keep saying is should. When you start living your life in these shoulds, in this blueprint of a way, and things aren't matching up to these shoulds, then you're becoming stuck in life.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like a repetitive cycle of choices of what you think you should be doing over and over and over and over the course of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and then all of a sudden you're 35 and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell's going on? This is not where I intended to be,
And a lot of these shoulds don't come from our internal. These shoulds come from external. And then that ties into what Britany was saying was the creativity, because everything's external. Your life blueprint comes from external. It didn't come from your internal, and internal is linked to creativity. So I meet with clients that are stuck. I like to ask them the question regarding your shoulds. So I want to ask the question to you, the audience, right now. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about your shoulds in life. What do you believe you should be doing? So just take a moment and think about that. So what do you believe you should be doing? And this could be relating to your career, it could be relating to your relationships, it could be relating to anything, or what you should be doing right now. And then I want to ask the question, who do you believe you should be? So who do you believe you should be? Now when you answer these questions, if who you should be matches your life blueprint, then you're probably not feeling stuck right now. But who you believe you should be, if that's not matching your life blueprint, then you're definitely feeling stuck right now too. We pick up these rules and how life should be, and subconsciously, since you're a little kid, you consume all this information, and it turns into your beliefs. So about age 8, a little kid in the womb, it could happen in the womb, all the way until about age 8, you're subconsciously, your brain's in theta mode, and you're basically picking up all these subconscious habits and beliefs and values, and that's coming from the external world. And then you begin, as you go into middle school, into high school, you start developing your blueprint of life. And a lot of times what Britany was mentioning is this. So we have all these like ideas of, like, you ask a 10-year-old kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? The kid's like, I want to be a fireman. Or the girl's like, I want to be a ballerina. But then now we're pushing the kids to say, oh, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a doctor, or whatever it might be. But they get these ideas, and you wonder where these kids get the ideas from. Obviously, it's out externally, it's outside in society. But up into age 10, think about all these influences that came from the external world, that came in and basically put these ideas into their head, where most of the time the answers didn't come from the child's inner heart. It came from like, oh, this is really cool. I want to be an NBA player. I want to be a whatever it might be, musician, right?
I think one thing too is, I think, as you mentioned, like your inner child, I think a lot of times in life we try to emulate others. So we there's a big phrase, fake it till you make it. And I was just listening to a podcast and it was like, fake it till you make it. It's like, no, because if you're faking it till you're making it, you're basically projecting yourself to be someone else, right? So it's like, I want to be like her. She's a really successful XYZ. She has a family, whatever. And then you want to project that. And it's, I think, goes back to just the world only has one of you, and what you have, no one else can offer. So just go back to yourself, be authentic, and listen to your inner child of what you truly want to be, and not trying to get the advice from the external world or try to drown out the noise from the external.
So this ties into being stuck in life. When your life conditions do not match your blueprint, then you feel stuck. You feel unhappy. You feel unfulfilled. So whatever it might be. There's a client, she believed from childhood that she needs to be this top leader in this company because her father told her, and as she was a little kid, that she has the abilities to be, the next CEO of this company. Okay? So this girl listened to her father's advice, went out and, went to college, tried to succeed in a degree, did not get the ideal degree that she wanted, but got a degree. Then she started working in this company, and it was a struggle for her to get in the role she wanted to get into. And she was basically absolutely miserable because she kept on fighting and trying to climb the ladder to get to these top leadership roles. And for a long time, she came to me, she's like, it's because I'm a woman. I'm like, it's not because you're a woman. Do not use that card. There's all these women now are CEOs and taking all these leadership roles. But the key that I helped her discover was, that's not who she really is. Like, she is a wonderful individual being, but she's not a leader. She's a contributor and different roles in a company. And she's highly creative and highly like in the strategy side, but was not meant to be a leader. So she was fighting all the degrees she got in college, all these roles she was taking. She was fighting this battle the entire time. It's because it wasn't fitting who she truly was. It wasn't fitting her strengths. I had to help her take a step back and reevaluate her life blueprint. And she realized everything was linked to her father. Let's just take a look at this. You got the answer. You know where these beliefs were coming from. They're driving you to become all this, to do all these things that you did in your 20s and your 30s. And look, now you have the key. You know the answer. It's stop fighting for these roles that you're not fit for. So then she went to her boss. I mean, she finally got the courage to basically go to her boss and basically say, can I change into a different role? And so she changed roles in the company. It wasn't the top, she was no longer going for the CEO role. She was going for a different role in the company. And it was a better match for her. She was able to be more creative. She actually ended up making a lot more money because there were bonuses tied to this role. So she would end up being a little more happier in her life. And that's was all about going inwardly and seeing where all these, I guess, examining why she was being stuck, but also looking at her shoulds, her beliefs, her blueprint. And that's what was causing her to be stuck too, basically too. So now I would say now she's much happier because she's no longer fighting this path that doesn't fit with who she truly is.
I had a girl who I actually just met with a few weeks back, and she was, in computer tech for like a financial industry, and she was like, I just feel so stuck. I hate it. I hate my career. I feel like a lot of times it's like stuck in, your career. And she just was realizing she loves design, and she loves staging, and she loves furniture, and she loves all this just the design and she lit up talking about it, and you could see the drudgery when she was talking about her other role. And it's just a combination, I think, of society, your own choices, what you think you want. We don't really know who we are when we're 18, 19, when we're going to college and making these, decisions on what our career path is. Yeah. So back to the TED Talk with about the education and creativity, he had Sir Ken Robinson had told a story about Gillian Lynn, and she is a choreographer for musicals like Cats and Phantom of the Opera. She's super, super successful. And when she was in grade school, she was, denounced with her teachers and the school that she was hopeless, she was fidgety, she was a failure at school. And so her school called her in, and she said, they told her parents told her mom that she had a learning disability. And so she went to go see a specialist, and at the end of the discussion, they kind of talked about all the things that were holding her back. And then the specialist had sat next to her and said, okay, now I need to go talk to your mom. And as they left the room, they turned on the music, the radio. And all of a sudden, Jillian just started dancing. And the specialist said, there's nothing wrong with her. She's a dancer. And so her mom ended up taking her to a dance studio. And she said it was wonderful. It was a place filled with people like her, a place where people had to move to think. And you just think about that life pattern happens to so many of us all the time, right? So this could have been an instance where her mom, got her tutors and kept her in school and didn't take her to dance, right? Yeah. And then she goes on to live a path that's not really fulfilling to herself, right?
Yeah.
Versus her mom let her entertain the idea of dance, and there she became, now she's this, world-renowned choreographer giving a gift to the world. She's a multimillionaire and so on. So I thought that was a really interesting story, and I think that just relates a lot back to, just our life patterns, our choices, and so on. I'm reading a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she mentions that, creative living is defined to her where you have the courage to bring forth the treasures that are hidden within you. She says that we're all walking repositories of buried treasures, and this is one of the oldest and most generous tricks the universe plays on us as human beings, for our own amusement and for the universe's. And she says, the universe buries these strange jewels deep within us and then stands back to see if we can ever find them. And the hunt to uncover those jewels, that's the creative living. And the courage to go on that hunt in the first place. That is what separates a more mundane existence from an enchanted one. the often surprising results from that hunt is what she calls big magic. And I think that big magic is what makes us feel unstuck as humans.
I want to leave you, the audience, with some insights today for some greater self-awareness. So if you're feeling stuck, I want to help you basically go inwardly and ask some questions. Self-awareness is a beautiful thing and helps us to move forward in life.
Yeah, because a big thing is a lot of people don't even know what would fire them up inside.
Exactly,
they feel so lost, they don't have that. So having that self-awareness
is a good way to help them to start begin that journey into finding their passion too.
And I think a good way to do that is going inward.
Definitely, yeah.
Sitting still.
I know it's definitely worked for me and worked for a lot of my clients. I'm sure it's worked for you too, right?
Yeah, sitting still, where a lot of times you feel like you have to go out and try all these things, but sometimes if you just sit still and listen. I want you to consider, what are your shoulds in life? Okay, so whatever shoulds you have, I should be doing this, whoever I should be. But I want you to ask yourself, where did these shoulds come from? So do you think these shoulds came from, did it come from yourself? Did it come from your parents? Did it come from your childhood? Did it come from your friends? So definitely think about where your shoulds come from. More than likely, and most of the time, these shoulds came from society. I mean, these shoulds came from your friends, your parents, your educational system. So these shoulds are coming from the outside. And then there's these beliefs that you have that are tied to these shoulds. So we all have these beliefs. I should be doing X, Y, Z. That's a belief. So I want you to ask yourself, are these beliefs true? And how do I know these beliefs are true? How do I know these shoulds are true? So just question a lot of things. Take some time and some curiosity. Go inwardly. And this opens up your self-awareness. Question, what are these shoulds in my life that I'm living by? What are these beliefs in my life that I'm living by? This is ties back to the blueprint to help you just to begin the journey of self-awareness with these basic questions there too. But maybe you aren't stuck. Maybe we're talking about all this and you feel fine in life. And that's great. That's a great thing if you're feeling fine in life and you're not feeling stuck. But even if you aren't feeling stuck, just again, it doesn't hurt to ask these questions. If everything's working out well and you can check off the boxes, maybe you are living by your shoulds, and these shoulds and beliefs you have are aligned with your blueprint. And they're tied to your values, and maybe you're living your purpose. So just ask yourself. So either way, whether you are living your purpose and you're not stuck, or you feel like you are stuck and you aren't living your values and your purpose, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's always great to check in with yourself. No matter how well you're doing in life, or if you're feeling like, like you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling like there's this inward cycle and this battle that you're going through in life too. So definitely just check in and ask these questions. And then lastly, I want to definitely, which we're going to tie into in the future, is I do want to bring up the topic of fear, because once we find out we're not living by our purpose or living our values, it's taking the next step. The next step is tied to fear, and fear is holding us back in so many ways. And I know Britany and I, we definitely want courage.
We need courage. So Britany and I are going to talk about this in our next episode that we definitely hope you tune into. But fear is something that does hold you back, and I will definitely provide some tips in the next episode to help you rewire your brain to conquer your fears. So today I hope you got some tips on, if you are feeling stuck, again, just ask yourself some questions, go inwardly, begin the self-awareness journey. See if everything's aligning with your beliefs and your life's blueprint. Check in with your creativity. See, are you being creative in life? Do you feel like you are utilizing that? Or do you feel like your creativity is stifled? Just check in with yourself and see where you are in life there too.
So thank you so much for tuning into this episode discussing why we get stuck in the first place. And join us for the next episode as we discuss fear versus courage. Thank you for listening to today's show. If you love what you heard, please subscribe, write us a 5-star review on iTunes, and follow us on Instagram at mastering.your.mind.
You can find more information from the show on our show notes on our website, notjusttalktherapypodcast.com, all spelled out. And if you're interested in working with us one-on-one, our contact info is also on our website.
Thank you again, and see you on next week's episode.